We went through all series of tests and all was okay. Then when we did the MRI, the doctor looked at it and he said, all was okay, but there are two things I'm detecting, and so I can't release you. Let's just have you checked. This time we'll elevate it to a PET scan. If all is fine, then you will fly back. So when the results came out, again, now 2 areas were able to be detected. They were able to detect I have a small tumor called meningioma at the mid of the brain. But then again, we had this lump on the right side of the thyroid. Now, looking at my story and looking at the pattern of events that have been unfolding in my life, I believe God was preparing me for a greater assignment here on earth. And just as I've said, each time I go through those threatening moments, He still allows me to be alive. So I believe He prepared me for this. Let me take you a bit of back in my background, how I grew up when I was young. I was born in a family of 7. We are 6 girls and 1 boy. And because the boy comes after me, I used to like those hard assignments. I just began liking to do the things that were extraordinary, okay. I also loved to do manly things simply because maybe I didn't have a big brother. So I used to imagine how, if I had a big brother, how it would be. And even then, I had a passion of becoming a pilot. But when I did my Form 4 exams, I tried applying. I wasn't taken in the school. It's called East African School of Piloting. I never got a chance to go there. However, now I applied to train engineering in the Mombasa Polytechnic. So I was able to enroll and I began my studies. So after 3.5 years, I had to sit for my national exam, and I didn't make it at the first attempt. That was very sad for me. It was another low moment. I didn't know what to do, but I decided to go back. It's I who decided. So I talked to my parents and I told them, I still feel if I go back, I'll be able to do better. So I went back, and when I went back, I even didn't go in the following class. I went to a class behind to be able to really get it and come with them to the next final year. It was very humiliating, but I was determined. So I was able to persevere and do the exams. But even as I did again, I didn't pass. So that was the second attempt. So I felt bad, but I never gave up. I still felt there has to be a way out. So now the third attempt, I decided to do it as a private candidate, and then I was able to successfully pass. But out of it also, I took a lot of lessons in life. And I just want to say, failure in academics does not mean you're a failure in life. Because academics is just one angle of your life, but you still have all these other areas that God has bestowed upon you, which you can excel in. Secondly, if you're not good in books, and right now the world is going skill sets, you can find a skill, perfect on it, and you'll live a fulfilled life, because you can go to YouTube, learn a skill. You can go to internet, get a course, and just go through the course at the comfort of your house and be able to do things out there. So I learned a lot, and what I've learned also in my journey in life is appreciating even the bad times, because there are times parents felt like when a child has not made it, especially in national exams, you're a failure in life. But that shouldn't be so. This child is a gift from God, and bestowed in them, there are very many things that they can do. God had a reason why they were born, and that purpose of God in their lives has to be fulfilled. So I was able to do my exams. I passed, and after passing again, getting a job didn't just happen automatically per se, because during that time when we trained, they would say if you do a training in engineering, it was a hot cake. But surprising and shock on me, it wasn't so. So imagine after going to all those years, 2 to 3 years, going back to retake and all that, now you have the paper, and now the job is not coming. Knowing who God was, I took time to just minister to God. If I would hear maybe there is a couple who doesn't have a house help, I would go and help them, especially those who had small children. I would be there just serving society and serving community. I would volunteer in all manner of work. So one time we were having a conference in Eldoret, a Christian conference. And my sister came to call me that there's somebody I had given my papers and just told him, float my papers. In case they'll need somebody, I'm ready to work. And so I was an usher in this conference. I was busy serving. Then a sister of mine came and called me and told me, there's a job and you're being required in Kisumu right now. So it was morning hours. I left, prepared, and left for the job. So I went. I was taken on a contract. But just after 2 years, that job just came to a halt. Immediately after two years, again, I found myself jobless. So I just went back to my old self, looked things to keep me busy and help people around. And in just doing that is when one time I saw an advert. When I applied, and then I was called for the interview, and then shortly I was called. Now this was a permanent and pensionable job, the one that now helped me to do all those medical procedures and treatment. Out of all these experiences, I have learned to appreciate people who they are. Even when they are at their lowest moment, that doesn't mean that their today is their tomorrow. Tomorrow is never guaranteed, because tomorrow something else can happen to them. And so it goes back to my mantra of the diamond underneath. A diamond is always in the rubble. And when it is in the rubble, nobody sees it as anything good. But after the process, we all love the diamond. It is very expensive. It is beautiful. It is rare and all that. So everybody is a diamond in their own right. But no matter what rubble you're going through, just embrace the process and don't short circuit it, because many a times when we go through these tough things, we really want to come out very fast. But remember, you have to be baked. Even gold has to undergo that intense heat for it to become gold. So yeah, it is never rosy. But I realized when you embrace the journey, you enjoy the journey. And out of it now, your purpose is born. So right now, I coach women who are going through life-threatening illnesses to have hope and to just know that despite what you're going through, you can thrive and come out successfully. It is not just a cliche per se, but you have to be helped to realize, because sometimes when you're in it, some of these things you cannot even see them. But if you're helped to see clearly, you will realize, so long as I'm alive, there's that one thing I can do. And out of doing it slowly, consistently, you will achieve your goal. Other than, when something happens, there are people who are able to pick up themselves and bounce back, and there are others who will not be able to. Many a times when we get professionals at their workplaces, we rarely hear them really want to tell us how their life was. But I'm one person who loves letting people know that out of what I went through, because I failed my exams not one time. Currently, I work as a civil engineer in one of the parastatals. That failure is not fatal. You can fail and you can pick yourself up and go back again. There are so many other chances for you to make it. Even if you don't make it in that particular field, you can decide to try elsewhere. And your gift and talents can also take you to places. I also want to encourage somebody that sometimes what we've planned for never happens as we've planned for. But again, don't be too hard on yourself. Learn to forgive yourself and just give yourself a second chance. And also more so in the journey I've had, also just having to battle with life-threatening illnesses, not once, more than once, it has also helped me to appreciate the fact that things happen to us, because sometimes when things happen, you really start asking, why me? Things happen to us, but things should never define who we are. We should chart our way forward to really get to know, because when you partner with God, He will really help you know, why is this thing happening to me? And everything that is happening to me always has a purpose. And out of what I've gone through is where I've gotten an inspiration to just inspire and coach women who are going through life-threatening illnesses to just don't go through but get hope that they can even thrive in their situations and come out and be successful in life. So, because I remember when I was in India in 2015, one of the things that I did, I was able to start writing a manuscript, and my book, The Diamond Underneath, I started writing it when I was in India. And again, so many people's lives were touched when I was there. There are very many people we would share one-on-one, women who are really going through hard times, couples who were not having children, couples who are separated. And as we speak to date, those couples have been restored. Some people got children. Some people's lives were restored. And that is when I say India was my turnaround moment, where God showed me that this journey has not just been an empty journey, but there's a purpose in this pain. I also do mentorship for students who are in secondary, colleges, and primary, but particularly in secondary. I really inspire ladies who really want to do engineering courses, that you can go there and you can thrive, but you have to also work at it so that you can get that which you want. But even if you don't get it, don't give up, because the world is big. We are about 7 billion in the world. So there's so much you can do with the world other than just that one paper. And I also, as I work, because sometimes I get so sick, but when I'm well, I really put my best foot forward at my workplace, because I also don't want to use sickness to be an excuse so that I underperform the roles that God has given me, because I believe God has put me there to represent Him in that organization that I'm working. And because God is a worker, when I'm well, I really put my best foot forward. But when I'm sick, I take some time off and just relax to recover. So all these things are doable, but we must be intentional in our hearts to do it. For anybody who is going through a tough time, a life-threatening illness, failed exams, lost a job, doesn't have even money to put food on the table, and so forth, because right now there's a lot of pressure we are going through. The world is just, there's a lot of volatility. and ambiguous and all that. You don't know about tomorrow. And you look at every other angle and it looks like it is only me. First of all, I would just like to encourage you to calm down. At times when you have a lot of things bombarding you, many a times there's the temptation of reacting to every other thing till you lose yourself. But if you calm down and just listen to yourself in the moment, you will be able to realize there's a way I need to act. One of the things when you have an illness, the greatest thing that hits you is anxiety. But you realize when you're anxious, you also make wrong decisions. But when you're calm, you're able to make a decision, defend it, and go through. And that is why even every doctor you meet and all that, after they've talked to you, they'll tell you reduce stress, because they know if you're stressed, even the body that you're trying to heal does not heal. Actually, they say stress adds a lot of acidity in the body. You could even journal what you're going through. And I would even encourage you can author, because those thoughts that we keep writing, you're bleeding on paper, and there's a way they heal you. There's a way they heal you, and out of it, you find that whatever you have poured it on paper, and you've released it. Another thing you can do is having gratitude. Just being grateful that God has allowed you to suffer this for somebody else and even for yourself. It is just something to be thankful for, because I have really talked to so many women, but I didn't know that what God was taking me through was just to prepare me to be a ministry to them, because out of just being grateful that, yes, this is happening to me, but thank you, God, for allowing it to happen to me. As you pour that gratitude, your cup is usually filled. Another thing I would say is don't lose hope. Because if you lose hope, it's like you're next to going to your grave. Yet maybe there are many other things God wanted you to do, but you've cut them short because you just looked at the situation as it is, made a decision, and closed it. Just having that hope in God was able to help God command a doctor come for my rescue. That alone became a very humbling moment for me, because you can imagine when every other human being tells you, I've done all I can. Yet to God, that was only the beginning. Because out of that doctor now, my life was restored. I've gotten babies, and so many other blessings have come my way. So just continue being hopeful. Something good will happen. Another thing I would love to say is learn to talk. Many people don't like talking about their issues. That is why we are having a high rise of people having mental issues, because you see, if I'm not willing to be helped, no help will come my way, and I will die a lonely person. But if I talk, and maybe my solution is elsewhere, somebody else will realize I have the need, and somehow that solution is commanded to come to you. Because when you don't talk and keep quiet, a solution could be next door. But since you never opened your mouth, it will bypass you. Yet again, the Bible says there is nothing new under the sun. Meaning whatever you're going through, somebody else in Uganda is going through it, somebody else in America is going through it, and could be they also have a way of approaching it and a way of having it, get done. Because God created us such that when there's a solution somewhere, there's a need somewhere. So they correlate, so that your need has a solution, but for it to work, there's a conduit called communication for it to work, so that the two can meet and work for your good. Another thing you can do is Look at the small wins you've done. You know, like when I had COVID, I was all alone, but I would look at the small things. At some moment, I was unable to eat, but if I'm able to take a fruit, that is something small, but it is a win for me. If I'm able to pray, that is something small, but it is a win for me. If I'm able to call my people and just have those candid conversations with them, it looks something small, but it is a big win for you, because at that moment, you really need to celebrate what you can do. There are times you cannot even do it, but again, don't judge yourself harshly that now that I didn't do this, I'm a failure. Remember, you can also have a retake as many times as you wish, because in this life, you are you cannot lead others until you lead yourself. So you are a leader to your life. So there are things bestowed upon you that I really have to make this decision on my own. But again, if you don't make the decision, nothing will be done. And then we have making the decision and the doing bit of it. Because even the doctor can tell you, take 15 minutes walk. Then you decide, yes, I've decided. But now the doing, taking up yourself, putting on those clothes and literally stepping out now to walk is an effort that is bestowed upon you. So it's only upon you to make that choice, that leading yourself to do it. And once you start looking back and just celebrating the small things you've managed to do, because even these people who teach issues to do with finances, Warren Buffett, they talk about compounding, and they say compounding doesn't happen overnight. Same to healing, same to those wins. There have to be small wins that are compounding consistently. A small win here, a small win there, a small win here, a small win there, and you celebrate yourself. Finally, you will be able to look back and see the huge mountain that you are seeing ahead of you. Pole pole, you have just climbed, and able to reach at the top. So this is the inspiration I'd love somebody out there feeling today is your really end of it all. Look around. There's even one thing that you're breathing. You're able to just be grateful that I'm able to breathe in and breathe out. Somebody somewhere is lying in ICU with all those pipes. You know, they're just machines crying. And when you ask the doctors, they're just telling you, we are trying our best. We hope to pull through. But at least you are breathing on your own. That is something to thank God for. You're able to make a walk to the washroom and back without being held a hand. That is something to thank God for. You're even able to take a glass of water. Yeah, you don't have food. That is something to thank. So when we look around us, there are so many things that we can be grateful for. And out of a grateful heart, now you start opening a store for more to come in. Now, working in the civil engineering industry has given me a lot of experience, I would say. And also working with men, because wherever I've gone to work in most of those departments, we've had few uptakes of women, because initially engineering has been male dominated, and still the numbers are still low for ladies. But again, being ushered in there, it was by merit. Let me start by there. And so God just ordained me to work there for him. But reaching there and keeping those jobs, as a lady, you have to work for it. Engineering, it's a fact-finding career, so to speak. Because the things you will do will stand, and they will stand the test of time. So it will be known whether you did the right thing or the wrong thing. It will just show. Let's say you're building a house. If you're using fake materials or cutting corners, when the rains come, the things start disintegrating, you will just be embarrassed, because you said you did this, but if you don't do what is right, mixing the right ratios, giving the right, let's say like curing the concrete, giving the right type of steel, make sure you really know what it takes. Another challenge that we have is sometimes an assignment in itself is very hard for you. Don't also try to act you know it all. You can never ask for help. I've just gone to my friends and my colleagues and pour out what it is. Let them help you, because if you can't do it, you can't do it, but you need help. But you see, after you've gotten it, nobody will ever say, okay, even if they do, without me, she'll not be there. But nobody will ever take that knowledge out of you. So sometimes we also feel we don't want to ask because we will look like we really don't know it. Sometimes you need to ask. So go out there and ask, because out of asking you will learn, and out of learning you will be a better person than you were. Point in case, many ladies believe you have to sleep with a man to get that position. I don't believe so. I believe if you trust God, He will give you the desires that you have, if it is in line with His will. And if you get that job through prayer, you have to sustain it through prayer. Because there are many times you'll be required to compromise. Engineering also has a lot of stakeholders. Engineering also has a lot of money. So it is a place where your integrity is tested every other day to really know what you're standing for. So if you're going there because of money, because when I ask so many young upcoming girls, why do you want to be an engineer? I want to have a lot of money. Really? If you bring your value, money will follow the value. And everywhere you go, if you bring your value, money will follow your value. I don't just want to limit it to engineering per se. So it should be your value that you're fighting to bring. You know, what do I stand for? How best can I do this? And I want to testify, not that I'm bragging. Last week I won an award, and this award was because of making the working place responsible. I even got shocked that I won it, because remember, the first 2 to 3 months I've been unwell. But when I go there, I do my best. So when you put value, I didn't know even who was watching, because I believe I was working for God. And then last week, I was just informed that I got this award. So let us bring value for where we are. I know currently it looks like money is everything. Left, right, center, when we switch on our phones, our TVs, but money is not everything. You have a value in you that can never be equated to money. So when you just do that, because I'm a living example, when I was just serving community, serving humanity, a phone call came and I was called for my first assignment in Kisumu. And many other things I've been doing. There's a blessing that God just commands. So let's strive to bring our value. I know it is a difficult world, but yet again, there's that one person in the whole world who can do that. Because I like subscribing. Mother Teresa said, it is not the very many souls that we have to touch, but just touch this one, and then it will cause a ripple effect. So bring your value wherever you are. Bring your value. So if you bring your value, I bring my value, we bring your value, then we will have different places where our values will be. And then we will leave our world a better place to live in. Despite what you're going through, despite the challenges you're facing, yet you can offer a smile on somebody else. I also remember when we went to India, when I had strength, I would walk to people's rooms, those who were loud, and just talk to them, pray with them, encourage them, put a smile on their faces. Some, of course, I've never met them, but you know, they say when you help and you're in need of that help, it's you who gets helped the most. And I believe my healing has always been when I really go out to the people who really need this help more than myself. There's a way your cup is just filled and it overflows. So let's give value. So sometimes even as when we get these events in life, let's not make life about events. Let's also try to understand the reason behind the events. And when we do that now, we enjoy the journey because we will understand that God is in it. And since He's sovereign, it doesn't matter how it presents itself. He knew that it is only Margaret who can handle this, and my grace will be sufficient for her to go through it. And therefore, I give her this share. And so it is with you. Whatever you're going through, just learn to understand why is it that God has allowed me to go through it. And once you do that, I believe the journey becomes lighter. I am an author. I've authored a book, The Diamond Underneath, Resilience in Time of Crisis, inspired by real life events. This is my authentic life. I've only shared not even a quarter of what it is that I've been through. So if you're in need of this book, you can call me. My number is 0722 462321. 0722 462321. You can get this book on Amazon. You can get it on Nuria. You can get it on CLC. I'm also a co-founder of Spectre Talk Ventures, a ministry that is involved in mentorship for girls in schools. I also coach women. I'm a life coach, and I also coach women who are going through life-threatening illness to have hope, be resilient, and go through whatever they are going through. I have so many caps. I'm also working as a civil engineer in one of the parastatals. I also build houses. I also build huts. I'm a co-founder of the Maturity Center, a spiritual ministry that we minister with my husband. So if you'd like to get in touch with me, Margaret Abukutsa on Facebook, Margaret Abukutsa on LinkedIn, Margaret Abukutsa on Instagram, and Margaret Abukutsa on Twitter. Let's keep these conversations going. And I'll be having a free webinar where we are going to talk about the role of foods in life-threatening illnesses on 2nd of June. It will be an online webinar and it will be free. Check on my Facebook details for you to register.